Hello, Rabbi.
Good evening, Joe.
And once again, hello, Father Kelley. So good to see you. For our audience who missed the first part of this recording, Rabbi Block and Father Kelley
Hey, it works for me.
co-officiate many a wedding without condition, as some of you may have heard. So there's no restrictions at all on having an interfaith wedding as far as you guys are concerned?
Father Kelley and I have absolutely none. The event is not conditional. It's not tied to anything else. We are here to enhance your relationship with God through each of your faiths. That's what we do.
My goal is always to meet the couples where they are and not where they quote unquote should be, whatever that means. And so when I hear couples say, well, we talked to some other, like priest, and he'll do the wedding even with the rabbi, but we have to be a member of his church to sign up for and be there for 8 months, a year before we can even go and take the next step to begin the process, the marriage prep process, what the Catholic Church calls the pre-Cana process. And I said, I don't require any of that. I mean, if you want to join, you're welcome, but that's not part of the deal. I find that like there's always so many rules that we put on people when it comes to any kind of special life cycle events. It's just, to me, they wonder why in the Catholic Church we're losing members. Part of it is that we collectively, like leadership, push folks away instead of welcoming people in.
And the same thing is true in Judaism. And so we want to bring anyone in. Everyone's welcome with no conditions.
So, Father, there's no requirement to do the premarital classes that are so popular among.
Well, I do all that. I do all the pre-marriage class. I do it myself. Many priests even now send people out to some pre-Cana or marriage prep weekend retreat or a series of talks. Or I went on to get way more training years ago in counseling. I do all the counseling with a couple myself. And what the good part about doing the counseling with the couple is I get to know the couple. So there's a real sense of connection. So come to a wedding, they aren't just two names on a piece of paper, but I get a sense of who these folk are and what their story's about.
Right. And I do the same thing, Mike, without the formality of requiring. But one of the fascinating things is the couples that we've married, they come to us, and what do they ask?
I have a baby. Can we have the baby baptized to have the naming? And we say, yeah, we can do it. What do you want to set the date?
And one of the things we've started doing is telling couples when we marry them. I met a couple and accidentally said to them, they said, what are you doing? What's new? And I said, Father Kelley and I are doing a baptism and naming, the Jewish interfaith couple. And their mouths dropped open. They said, you can't do that. How can you do that? And I said, we just did. And we'll set a date for your kids. And what we've started doing is telling couples when we marry them, because no one believes, they wouldn't think to ask us because they believe it can't be done, right, Mike? So they're not going to ask.
And so I often have said to folks, we're full service. We do the whole thing here. And I think it helps to relieve their minds, because often they feel like they're getting married because they love each other and want to make a life together. They want to have kids, but they feel like they're walking into this minefield where there's no other options for them down the road when they have children.
And so in Judaism, we don't have baptism as that, but we have a naming ceremony, a covenant ceremony. So we meld, just like our weddings, and we meld it together. And when it comes to the specific, bringing the child into the covenant of Abraham, I do that and give the child a name. And then when it comes to the oil and the water, Mike does that. But the whole ceremony, we do it together.
And the same thing with the water bath. I talk about how the water baptism is based on the Jewish water bath. And that's why, even like when John the Baptist in the Bible is baptizing folk in the Jordan River, all the people there in the story are Jewish. And so later on, the early Christian church takes that water bath concept and makes it into baptism. So a lot of the rituals we have, the Catholic tradition, are heavily based on Jewish rituals.
So just to recap for our listeners, especially those out there curious about these specific ceremonies, neither the church nor any part of rabbinical law or the Torah requires exclusive rites or forbids any kind of interfaith ceremony, whether it's marriage or naming or confirmation or any of the other ceremonies?
People, Joe, have created the wall. Show me why, what harm is there in bringing the child into the covenant of Abraham and then baptizing the child? At some point, the child will make a decision at which way their faith draws them. But the barriers, just like the weddings we do, are all a human creation. Saying you can't, it's forbidden, you can't do that. As Father Kelley pointed out, anointing and dipping or sprinkling is the mikvah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a way to bring the child into the covenant of the church. And we bring the child into the covenant and give them a Hebrew name. Show me the harm. Show me the foul.
So if you are having trouble with your rabbi or your priest who says, no, you can't do that, forget that interfaith nonsense. Go to Rabbi Block at rabbionthego.com or give a call to Father Kelley at St. Martin's in DC, and they will take care of you because they don't have anything to do except make the world a slightly better place for all of us. Thank you both very much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
And to leave, at the end of the baptism naming ceremonies, we get the same response as when we do a wedding together. Everyone feels God's spirit. Everyone says, I now can believe that you can do that.
The last one we did together, I had some of the Jewish grandparents come to me and say, that was beautiful. I would have never thought that this could happen. And they were as delighted as the Catholic grandparents. So it's just interesting how people have all these preconceptions of what we cannot do, we being the collective community of God. And when they find out that we can do this as a rabbi and priest, they're thinking, wow, this was beautiful. This made sense, is what one of the Jewish grandparents said to me a few weeks ago. We were together.
Well, to quote Sir Lancelot, with God, all things are possible.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good night.